Hello and welcome to DudeCast TV. I am your host, Norman Dexter. As always, I'm a dude who's going to talk about some shit. Today, I want to lead with motivation is bullshit. Now, if you're wondering why that ties into the title of Life is a Cruel Mistress, we will get there. Because the universe has a pretty dark and dry sense of humor. But let's get started, shall we? Happy Memorial Day here on this Monday, May 30th. I hope y'all are enjoying your day off. Well, most of you anyway. Some of you are working like me. I will be later today. And either way, respect to the fallen and those in memoriam. And thank you for your service if you have served in the military. I know this holiday isn't for that, but every chance I get, I like to thank people for their service in the military. I know in recent years that has kind of lost its meaning because a lot of people are very political when it comes to the troops, and they are... I have a lot of veteran friends that regret their service to this country, and I hate that they sacrifice so much and regret so much of that sacrifice, so I'd go out of my way to thank those people every chance that I get. So I wanted to start with that first and foremost. But back to motivation and bullshit on a much lighter note. This isn't an anime. This isn't a movie plot, scene, or setting, and adversity and grit are the tools to propel you forward in life, not some fleeting feeling of motivation. People ask me all the time how I stay motivated. Oh, it must be so nice just to be motivated to work out all the time. It must be so nice to eat the way you eat, and so on. To which I say, no, fucking no. I am lazy as fuck. That's why I do what I do. What does that mean? Well, I lean into my habits and my routine, and I just flip my fuck it switch. So, I'm not motivated to work out. Most often, maybe 13-20% of the time, tops, I'm motivated to exercise. Most often, I just do it because I have to. And for those of you who say, well, you don't have to work out. Well, when I was 9, I was diagnosed with juvenile arthritis, and my finger joints, right at the knuckles, would swell up to the size of walnuts and turn purple. And nowadays, when I am experiencing a change in weather, change in seasons. When you live in Ohio, happens a lot, you get a lot of aches and pains. The way I deal with that, the way I address that, is through exercise. So, whether or not I will continue to bodybuild throughout my life, I will always exercise. Because if I don't, I'm going to crunch up into a ball and hate my life. And it will never be about chronic pain management. That is my goal throughout all of my life. I want to maintain this routine of exercise, fitness, and health throughout my life for that reason, if no other. So, I choose the daily adversity and the daily grit because it makes me physically feel better. And if I don't do that, I feel like hot fucking garbage. So, that's why I have to do that. Thus is why motivation is bullshit. You can watch a cool little video where some motivational speaker's screaming at you, and you're all hype, rah, rah, ooh, rah, let's go. But then you go and get in the car to go to the gym, and you lose it by the time you get there. Motivation is not the answer. You have a motive, that'll get you started. But it's the discipline that'll keep you going. And particularly, it'll be the accomplishment of going through that chosen adversity and grit that I've talked about in a previous episode that will allow you to feel that fulfillment of purpose when you accomplish something. In this case, exercise or eating. Speaking of eating, I'm not motivated to do that shit either. I just feel like asshole if I eat like an asshole. I'd rather not feel like asshole, so I don't eat like an asshole. In addition, it's a lot of work if I have to change up my food constantly to fit my goals, so I just eat the same goddamn thing every day. Hence what I said about being a lazy motherfucker. Lazy as shit. Eating the same 2 or 3 meals every goddamn day. People look at me like I'm fucking crazy when I tell them that because they think it gets bland. Yeah, it can. And then I'll replace one of the meals with something more, oh, this is nice, I like this. But for the most part, I'll go 6 months to 18 months of eating the same damn thing over and over again. Sometimes longer, it just depends. But that being said, when you're doing this thing, you see a lot of people who want to be motivational. And I do mean air quotes motivational, okay? For those of you just listening, I'm putting some hefty air quotes with that. Because they want to be an influencer. They want to change your life. They want to preach, and they want to tell you the way to get to where you want to be. They want to tell you how to be successful, how to be fit, how to be healthy, how to be hot and sexy. But moreover, they want to tell you that they are all of those things. What do I mean? Well, I see a lot of bullshit in social media, particularly on Instagram, where I ask myself the question, why do so many people feel the need to proclaim how amazing they are on social media? Why do people have to say things like, I'm on that grind, y'all ain't even ready for me? Okay there, bud. Okay. Yeah, we're not even ready for this grind that you're supposedly on. Or, I will be a professional bodybuilder, a professional cook, a professional A, B, C, D, E, F, G, all the way down to Z. I don't care what it is, but they'll say they'll be it, and then you watch, and fucking nothing happens. Or they do achieve it, but they're trash. It's this thing of trying to fake it until you make it, and it's really fucking cringy. Another great one are the people who have to tell you that they're a beast. That have to tell you that they're in beast mode. Nah, Chief, I don't think that's the case. If you have to tell me you're a beast, if you have to tell me you're in beast mode, I don't think you are, and you should stop. The last one, and this one gets me the most. People who proclaim that they are grinding in silence are fully fucking retarded because they don't realize that when you post that you're grinding in silence, yes, again, for those of you listening, the big fucking air quotes, if you're grinding in silence, you know what that means? That means you shut the fuck up and don't post about it. Okay? Alright, glad we got that out of the way. Because it really doesn't fucking look like you're grinding in silence there, Chief. Instead, you become undeniable. Now, that phrase is something I've heard recently on the Joe Rogan Experience, where Joe was referring to, I believe, a comedian when he was talking, and he said, you have to become so good that you become undeniable. Now, how does that tie into the bullshit that I was saying? You act rather than speak. You do what you're supposed to do. You become better at what your craft is, whatever that chosen craft may be, and you become undeniable. Now, realistically, you just become better as a person. That's not always the case, but you can do things that make you undeniable, even if you're not a good person. Case in point, the Paul brothers, Logan and Jake Paul. Those two have become undeniable. They are cringy, they are probably terrible people, and they have done a lot of really sus fuck shit. But you cannot deny that they are fucking killing it. They are making so much money. And they are always in the news. They are always doing some crazy new thing, and they're always on everybody's mind. You could say the same thing about the Kardashians. These people have taken society by the balls and are doing what they want with them. Okay? Now, on the other side of this, with people who I perceive to be good people, you have comedians, for the most part, that are worried or not worried about being canceled. Well, the best of them, meaning the ones who have become undeniable, are uncancelable. The best examples that come to mind are Dave Chappelle, Joe Rogan, Louis C.K., and Ricky Gervais. All four of which are consistently in the news for saying, big air quotes again, outlandish and offensive things, end air quotes. Ricky Gervais just came out with a special last week where he is tearing into all these special minority groups. And it was fucking hilarious. You cannot say that those jokes are not funny, because they are. You become undeniable. You perfect your craft, an expert in your field, and you master the skill that puts you at the tip top. At that point, people can't deny you. You don't have to tell people how good you are, how great you are, how successful you are, because you already are. So rather than fake it till you make it, just make it. But how do you do that? Well, if you can't tell, there is an association with certain podcast episodes that I do and the release of certain episodes of podcasts that I listen to, where certain guests come on and talk about things. A recent guest that I listened to was Cameron Haynes. Cameron Haynes is known mostly for being a bow hunter, but he's also an avid fitness person. The motherfucker will run a full 26-plus mile marathon every single day and still work a full-time job, 9 to 5. Absolutely insane. The reason he does this is so that he can go hunting and he can sprint up hills and not be winded. So his goal is to be able to keep up with these bulls, these elk, in their natural environment where they are sprinting up these mountains like they're nothing. He wants to be able to do the same so he can adequately hunt them. That was his reasoning. Well, recently, he was on a podcast and he was talking about his new book, Endure, where he briefly goes into why he wrote the book, but the point I want to focus on is that he's one of the best bow hunters in the world. In addition to that, he's done the Moab 240, which is a 240-mile run in the Mojave Desert. You do it all at once. You don't stop. You run 240 miles, which is fucking insane. Now, you can't just go from sitting on the couch to doing that the next day. You got to start somewhere. And that's what I mean. To become undeniable, you have to start somewhere. So, he starts just running every day. He starts, I need to get better. I need to become a better bow hunter. So, he starts practicing. And the key is, you want to be your worst critic. You don't want to see yourself as this amazing person who's great at everything. No, no, no. You want to be your worst critic. Now, that doesn't mean become self-loathing. That means you need to be hypercritical of yourself so that you can be motivated to become better. There's that word again, motivated. You're providing yourself a motive to become better. If you think your shit doesn't stink, what motive do you have to improve? If you're a critic on yourself, you'll continue to place yourself in adversity. You'll continue to engage in grit, actions that will improve you further and further moving forward. And when you start from nothing and inch your way forward, little by little, you'll get closer to whatever that goal is. It may take you months, years, decades. I don't know. It depends on what you're trying to do. Just understand, you are not to compare yourself to any other person, just you and where you were versus where you're going. That's it. Your previous and future self. Those are the only two things you can compare yourself to, because you're always living in the present. And that can humble you because it can allow you to remember your roots and your beginnings. And you can always remember, all right, I used to be X, and now I'm Y, and I'm on my way to Z. I'll make it little by little, step by step, day by day. There's a story that he tells, Cameron Haynes, about the reason why British bowmen were so special and why Britain was so overpowering in its armies. And it was because of their longbowmen. it got to the point where they were having these longbowmen, they were raising them from children. They would put a bow in their hand, and they would teach them how to use the bow for years into adulthood. And they would slowly but surely increase the amount of poundage, and that means to pull the bow back, as they got older and as they got stronger. It was a slow thing that they did over time. They improved it over time, made it harder over time, more adversity and grit and application. Until it got to the point where these bowmen could pull a bow back at 190 pounds per pull. That means that with their arm and their arm alone, they would pull this bow back, and the ability to pull it back as far as they would need to, that arm would have to be pulling 190 pounds of force. That's a whole ass man. And that archaeologists found some of these skeletons of these bowmen, and the arm they would use to pull back the bow would be twice or three times as thick as the other arm. The skeletal structure literally changed in response to the adversity that they were engaging in. So that is literally and figuratively my point. Because if you change your bone structure, in this case, what you're doing is you're applying the adversity and grit to change who you are. What does that do? Well, it changes your attitude. You're constantly wanting to become better, and you're always looking for ways to become better, to inch forward, to move in the direction that you want to move. And when you change your attitude, you can change your character. And then when you change your character, you change your life. You reap what you sow. That is a bit of a summary of a famous Margaret Thatcher quote, a woman in British history known as the Iron Lady. And it's really important to consider that, because we all start out in different places. But the key is this. Sometimes your genetics or the family you're born into and the opportunities that are provided for you, sometimes you didn't earn those. Sometimes your talent or your inherent situation can provide you things where your character cannot keep you. And what happens? Well, you fall from grace. You see a lot in the NBA, for instance. A lot of very talented athletes who get these $400 million contracts, but they misbehave. And they get kicked out of the league, and they're left with nothing. They didn't have any wherewithal to do their finances. They didn't have any wherewithal to change their behaviors to stay on the team, and they lose out on that $400 million. They spend it all and end up $30 million in debt because they didn't pay their taxes. So you have these people who squander their opportunities because their talent took them places their character could not keep them. So that's why I say life is a cruel mistress. The universe will dangle opportunities in front of you, and it will give you every chance to take a shortcut to try to get there, because it's a promise that you can have everything you've ever dreamed of. But the only surefire way to get where you want to be, to achieve what you want to achieve, to become who you want to become, is to do the fucking work. To value work ethic. To value hard work. And that's why motivation is bullshit. You have to do the work. You have to go through the long days, the long nights, and those drawn out mornings where you just wanted to lay in bed an extra 5 minutes. You gotta get your ass up and do what you have to do. You can't sleep in. You can't do all this shit that puts it off. I'll give you an example. This last week or so, this last 2 weeks, my podcast has not been able to be recorded on the day that I want. I usually do these on Monday. Last couple of weeks, I've been going back and forth between two houses because I've been dog sitting. And, you know, that's a responsibility. You got to take care of the dogs. You can't just have them pissing all over themselves in their crates all day. And they need time, love, and attention. It's one of the reasons why I don't have a dog, because I have a lot of shit going on. I still did my podcasts. They were a little late, but I got them in. And I went to go help a friend on Saturday. It was only supposed to take a couple hours to help him move. It ended up taking about 6 or 7. I didn't get home until 11 o'clock at night. And I still had to eat. And I still had to make my food for the next day. So I was up until 12:45, eating and getting my food ready for the next day. And then I had to be up at 6 so I could be at work that morning. I missed out on a couple hours of sleep. It's not great. Very tired yesterday. Sucks. But you gotta do what you gotta do. Was my routine perfect? Is it always bulletproof? No. But I do my best to make up for it. I do my best to gain the ground I lose when shit like that happens. Life doesn't care where you are. The universe doesn't give a damn about how much work you've put in. But if you become more resilient and if you value the work that it takes to be where you want to be, you'll get fulfillment out of just doing the work. That whole idea of enjoying the process, enjoying the journey, whatever, that's real. That happens. Because the small incremental victories every single day that make you feel like you're inching forward and you feel that progress. You feel that your purpose is being fulfilled, whatever that is. That means a lot. So, remember, in closing, motivation's fucking bullshit. If you're gonna grind in silence, fucking grind in silence. Don't tell everybody you're grinding in silence, you fucking twat. That's my PSA. It's a short one today. Thank you for listening. I've been Norman. You've been my DudeCast. I appreciate you. Enjoy the grill outs and happy Memorial Day. Deuce Magoose. Peace out. See you guys next time.
It's time to put our times behind. Get all the bad things off your mind. He's feeling good, she's feeling good, we're feeling good, yeah. Just hanging out, just having fun, we're number one. Just hanging out, just having fun. I'm a dude, he's a dude, she's a dude, we're all dudes, hey. I'm a dude, he's a dude, she's a dude, we're all dudes, hey. There's nothing better than your friends, there's no problem you can't win. Someone that's always got your back, not caring about this or that. Just hanging out, just having fun, we're number one. Just hanging out, just having fun. I'm a dude, he's a dude, she's a dude, we're all dudes, hey. I'm a dude, he's a dude, she's a dude, we're all dudes, hey. I'm a dude, he's a dude, she's a dude, we're all dudes, hey. I'm a dude, he's a dude, she's a dude, we're all dudes, hey. It's all about meeting new faces, the smiles on your face and you can't erase it. Partying on, it's going on, huh? Partying on till the break of dawn. Oh, it's time to put hard times behind, get all the bad things off your mind. Just hanging out, just having fun, we're number one. Just hanging out, just having fun. Just hanging out, just having fun, we're number one. I'm a dude, he's a dude, she's a dude, we're all dudes.